Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shore.
Women Today.
Okay, so I am in one of my favourite parts of the island. I'm up in Cregneash, standing in a beautiful garden. I'm here with Karen. Karen, tell me a bit about where we're standing right now.
Okay, this is called Castruan. Basically, this cottage here used to be, well, it was two ladies apparently that lived in it. It's now one house. They were sisters. There's two very small Victorian gardens, and they've had a lot of work done by Cilla, looking and sourcing really some fabulous old plants, so that's one of my favourite places. Where we're actually looking is we've got beautiful soft fruits, rhubarb and very old heritage varieties of potatoes and peas and all that sort of thing, lovely veg. And as you can see, we kind of let this just run wild.
So presumably this is now much as it might have been when they were living here. When did the ladies live here?
I don't think it was that long ago, but Cilla did an awful lot of work in this garden when she started, which was one of her projects. Yeah, she's created the most beautiful herb garden, which I think we should have a look at, because that's definitely worth a look.
So as we're walking over towards the herb garden, people that lived in this sort of area, I suppose, are presuming much of what they planted might have been from a produce point of view, to be sort of self-sufficient and feed themselves. Might that be the case?
Yes, most definitely. It was. It would have been really quite tough up here in the winter, so everything counted. So anything they could grow, they would grow. Obviously, they did grow very nice flowers for the church. Herbs were really important because they were medicinal herbs, most of them. So you would have things that killed worms, intestinal worms, that sort of thing, really nice things. But obviously, they would have suffered from that sort of thing. Things that were really good at getting rid of flies. The houses would have been, you had animals very close to the houses, so you would have suffered with a lot of flies. Tansy was very good for that. I'm just thinking over there, there's horehound, so it doesn't smell very nice, but they used to use that if you had a cough, and they'd make it into a cough candy and things. The lovely flowered that the bees are going absolutely mad for, and the butterflies, that's comfrey.
And that's what you get comfrey oil from, is it?
Yes, it is. Yep, and that's a great fertiliser as well. They would have used all the leaves and everything. Things, if they didn't use them medicinally, they would have used them either to eat. Comfrey you can eat, but it's a great fertiliser as well. So nothing would go to waste. Absolutely nothing.
Do you actually utilise any of them in those manners now?
Not at the moment. I think that could be in the future. I think it would be a really nice thing to introduce people, possibly workshops and that sort of thing, and do some demonstrations and that sort of thing. Obviously, some of these medicinal herbs are really, really quite powerful and quite dangerous. So it's just educating people, and I think there's so much interest out there. It's great that they want to actually step back in time and realise what they were doing then actually wasn't that bad, and we could be using it now still.
And you did actually have some rather special visitors this weekend up here, didn't you?
Very special. It was my sister's big birthday, and she was over from London, and we had a big family gathering, and I brought mum and dad and all the family up. And
where do your mum and dad actually live?
They live in Douglas, and they haven't been up here for 40 years. So they were quite surprised at how wonderful it is and how much gardening I have to do up here. And it's a good job they're in their 80s, because otherwise they'd be up here helping me, being keen gardeners. But yeah, I think I'll let them off now. They're well into their 80s.
Which is your favourite bit?
I think the most favourite bit is the little Victorian garden at the top by Castruan, and it's really quite a secret garden, so I think we should go and have a look there.
Secret garden, take me there. Ooh, this looks interesting. Are we nearly there?
We are, so...
We're sort of pushing through a natural doorway here into what is a beautiful array of colour and flowers. This is so lovely. Just tell me a little bit about what we're surrounded by here.
Well, there's some really old Victorian plants that definitely would have been grown at Cregneash at that time. And again, we don't mind quite a few weeds that grow because weeds are just misplaced plants. And as you can hear, the buzzing, the bees absolutely love them.
So this would have been an area presumably that the ladies might have come and sat, because I can see there's little sort of seat stones that they could come and sit and just chill out back here maybe.
Yes, they definitely would. And these little stone seats, they call them binks. The ladies used those a lot because obviously the cottages were so dark. The windows were really small, they didn't have great light, so they would have most definitely have sat outside and used the binks a lot, either doing their sewing, embroidery, darning, most things actually, because it was so dark inside the cottages, so they made use of these binks a great deal. And obviously if you've got beautiful flowers surrounding you, then there's no better place really, is there? Down here with the little very pretty white flower, we've got woodruff, sweet woodruff, and that definitely would have been used here quite a lot. They dried it and used it to stuff pillows and mattresses, and when it's dry it smells of sweet meadow hay.
Wow.
And
so it's like an early Febreze.
Yes. How lovely going to bed with your pillows stuffed with something like that. Yeah.
So it wasn't like a packing material, it was for the smell?
I think it was more for the smell. It probably was for packing as well, but the smell apparently is, when it's dried, is beautiful. So I'm looking forward to doing some of that.
And that the secret garden has many sections. We've just come round a hedge and there's another bit here with entirely different flowers in. What have we got here?
In here we've got quite a few old roses. Cilla went to a lot of trouble to try and source these, and they're very old Victorian varieties, and I can't wait to see them because obviously I haven't seen them out in flower. So
that's one of the joys of gardening, isn't it? It's a surprise when things actually do come into flower.
It is, yeah. It's something that we all look forward to. It's a long winter when there's nothing growing and everything looks quite dire, and then spring springs on us, and then you've got all this, and it makes it all worthwhile working out in the freezing cold. And yeah, it definitely makes it worthwhile.
So do the types of plants have to be quite hardy then to survive up here? I mean, where we're standing in the secret garden seems beautifully warm and sheltered because of the hedging, but what's it like in general, this area, to grow things in?
The ground is very good. They've obviously, the people that worked the land here obviously worked it very well. So it does grow a lot of stuff very well. However, winter, when the wind comes, it's really, really very challenging indeed, yeah. But we just don't get the hard frosts and things like that. So you can grow, I wouldn't say tender things, but you can grow the majority of things that would normally grow on island. There's a few things that you wouldn't even bother with, but you get to know what those are. And generally we can put things in a sheltered position and make sure they're in the right position, and off they go. With the help of the hedges and the stone walls and placing stuff in the right place, it's amazing what you can grow actually.
And I can see some strawberries coming out, and looks like some rhubarb there as well. So what happens with your crops then?
Well, it's all very exciting. The Sound Cafe and the tea rooms here at Cregneash are going to hopefully use everything that we can produce. So shortly they've used all the rhubarb so far, and they've had quite a lot of that. They're using the thyme and the parsley. They'll use anything that we've got, really, which is really lovely.
Here comes one of the little cats. We'll have to make sure we shoo him off the strawberries.
Oh, little Manx cat that loves lying in amongst the strawberries. Yeah, but we don't use any sprays, and we just try and do things as naturally as possible, really. It's hard work. So lucky that at the moment I think we're up to about 6 volunteers up here on a Tuesday, which is fantastic. But we're always looking for more.
So if someone's listening and they like the idea, what sort of qualities do you need to have to be a volunteer in your garden, Karen?
Just loads of enthusiasm and it's just great, and we work really well as a team. Quite often it's quite a social thing, so you don't need to know anything about gardening. We'll, steer you round and hopefully encourage you and get your interest going, hopefully. Now, Christy, the weather is fantastic. It wasn't like this earlier, but it's beautiful now, and I can't think of anywhere on the island I'd rather be than up here on a day like this.
Women Today. Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.